What's the fastest you've seen a crowd go from excited to horrified? An animal show at Busch Gardens. The camels started fucking. Camels don't fuck, they make love. They hump. Monday Night Football, the 18th of November, 1985. Washington Redskins vs the New York Giants. I was pretty young at the time, so being allowed to stay up late on a weekday was a rare occasion. During one of the plays, Joe Theismann was sacked by Lawrence Taylor and Harry Carson of the Giants. The entire stadium went silent as Theismann would end up suffering a compound fracture of the tibia and fibula. What I remember most vividly is that the broadcast kept replaying it over and over again and seeing Shin snap at a 90-degree angle. It made me physically nauseous and had to walk out of the room. If I recall correctly, following the injury, broadcasting policies were changed so that constant replays like this would not be shown in the future. A friend of mine decided it would be fun to try and see if he could smash a beer glass on his head. Up until then he was just being an enthusiastic drunk and had some positive attention. He then decided the beer glass thing was a good idea and promptly executed it. Head wounds bleed a lot in the first minute. Crowd went from "oh, you're cute" to "fuck, he's gonna die." I sobered up in an instant and got a semi-clean towel for him to stop the bleeding. Thankfully head wounds also stop bleeding pretty quick in most instances. WWE's Over the Edge 1999. Owen Hart fell 70 feet to his death during the event, and the company inexplicably continued on with the show after he'd been taken to hospital. The entire assembled students from the elementary school where teacher/astronaut Krista McAuliffe taught at, who were broadcast live to the world, as they watched the Space Shuttle Challenge explode seconds after takeoff, killing all hands on board, including their teacher. At my friend's wedding, the groom kicked the flower boy. He was no more than 10, so yeah. I saw this on YouTube somewhere. A bodybuilder was strutting his stuff in front of a crowd, warming them up and everything at an event. They absolutely loved it. Many people had attended just to see him. He was at his peak, huge muscles and sculpted physique, absolutely amazing. I don't personally like the bodybuilding look, but you've gotta respect hard work. The crowd was cheering him and he got so pumped up, so full of energy and emotion that instead of just walking onto the stage he did an impromptu jump flip. He launched himself high into the air and did this impressive flip. The crowd went berserk. But he was a bodybuilder, not a gymnast. He landed on his neck and died instantly, crumpling on the spot. It is one of the most horrific, sudden and unexpected things I've ever seen. Maybe the worst part was not all of the crowd realized immediately. They kept smiling and cheering for their hero for another minute before it sank in that they had just witnessed him die right in front of them and they were clapping for a dead man. Edit. His name was Sifizole Angelo Thabit, only 23 years old, from South Africa. He was a junior world champion in his weight category. He was only 23 years old at the time of his death. For those who are asking, a few people in the comments have posted the link. It's here. I very much do not recommend watching. It's tragic and horrible. Obviously not safe for work for death. Similar to how comedian magician Tommy Cooper died. He was known for being the guy whose tricks went wrong and he'd just kind of muddle through it for a bit, but it always worked and he end. One day he's doing a live stage show and he had a heart attack, collapsed and died instantly. The audience all just thought it was part of his act and started clapping and laughing until someone realized what had happened and closed the curtains. I was at a Van Halen concert a few years back and David Lee Roth comes on the mic and says this next one is from our new album. Pink Floyd often would have giant floating pigs released during the concert, you know, inflatable balloons. This would happen like halfway through the show. Well, people are smoking tons of pot, drinking, doing God knows what other drugs, so by the time the pig is released it's basically like God descending from the heavens. People were losing their shit at the pig. Well, it got caught in one of the wires and caught on fire. You've never seen so many stoners fall to their knees in terror/fear/sorrow over the death of a giant inflatable pig. There is no God anymore. His bacon got fried. There was a guy performing risky stunt dives in a river for money. He pulled off great stuff and people were clapping and clearly hyped. One of the tricks went really bad and he crashed headfirst into a rock from a decent height and killed himself. Shit just went from 0 to 100 real fucking quick. I don't know if this counts, but I'm a huge fan of 90s rock. Slipknot, Seether, Mushroomhead, etc. Anyways, I've always wanted to see Marilyn Manson in concert and he was opening for I think one of the mentioned bands above a few years back. Anyways, he comes on and just looked horrible. Kind of slurring, but whatever, I get it. So like 4 songs in he starts singing Beautiful People and mostly everyone seemed into it. Well, maybe because it's Texas and it was an outdoor venue over 100 degrees, but he just goes, "Fuck it, y'all suck," and walks off stage. Took a few seconds to register with everyone he wasn't joking and every starts booing and cussing. I was legit excited and it just turned to garbage so quick. Funny enough, I had a similar experience with Manson at a festival. He slurred his way through about 2 songs, while falling all over the stage, before he just wandered off and never came back. As it was a festival, we had another act to go, so people weren't too upset. But it was very strange. The climax of the last Twilight movie is a fight scene that goes on for 10 minutes. Vampires are ripping each other's heads off, giant wolves are throwing them around like chew toys, and one by one each of Bella's friends and family die around her. You can actually hear people in the audience react as each named character dies. And none of this happened in the book, which was criticized for its lack of climax. As each minute goes on, it feels like they improved the film's story to give it a real sense of danger and excitement and payoff to the series. So shit's intense. And right as they kill the big bad evil guy, the camera fades to black, pulls out, and reveals that all of it was a vision. The last 10 minutes didn't happen. It was someone seeing a future that might happen. No one died. Just a bunch of vampires and wolves standing around staring at each other in silence. Then they all walk away, alive and well. The crowd groans. A girl up front shouts, "Are you shitting me?" Everyone sits back in their seat. No one cares about what's happening on screen anymore. Some people are laughing because someone hit the undo button on the most exciting 10 minutes of the movie. Never have I seen a theater turn on a film so quickly and so hard. 7 to 8 years ago during a concert there was an earthquake. Not too huge, but enough for some speakers to fall and to scare the shit out of those attending. We were all 17 or 18 on a school trip. Typical week away doing rock climbing, archery, camping, etc. At the end of the trip we're gathered in a big hall for one final gathering, and then out of the blue there was a demonstration on how to effectively kill a chicken, using a live chicken that was killed in front of us all for some reason. No warning. Several years back and my band opens up for a hardcore punk outfit from Illinois at an all ages venue where they have a sci-fi theme to their show. The singer dresses up as a mad scientist and the other 3 members dress up as his evil robots. They also have old television sets plugged in around the stage playing 1950s B horror movies while they play. No one, including the people running the venue, have ever seen these guys play before, but going off of the theme we are expecting something awesome. That is until I'm backstage putting my equipment away and notice them all pounding back shots of tequila. When it's their turn to play they are so hammered they can't even make it through one verse of a song. The singer ended up drop kicking one of the TVs into the crowd of about 200 people, which caught fire. This caused the sound guy to end their set right there and they were banned from the venue for life. I've never seen a crowd go from happy to oh shit so fast. One of my buddies saw the Stooges in the 1970s. The band started the show playing raw power with no vocals for about 10 straight minutes. Then Iggy finally stumbled out. He made it through about 3 songs before he just fell the fuck over, and that was it. The show was done. The station nightclub fire. Small packed club. Great White was playing with unauthorized pyrotechnics. Suddenly caught the building on fire. Emergency exits were locked and people jammed the exit door. 100 died. Thankfully didn't see it in person, but there is a YouTube video showing the whole thing. It is a very traumatic watch though, so wouldn't really watch it unless you want it imprinted strong enough in your brain so that you will always look for exits when going into a crowded area for the rest of your life. Last week at a Black Lives Matter protest they were letting anyone come up and speak through a megaphone. This man got up and started talking about his newborn son and how he wanted to make sure we have a better world for him. He then started talking about love and unity, and the guy essentially had the crowd eating out of the palm of his hand. Then he brought up Bill Cosby and how he was arrested on allegations, and the crowd turned instantly. When working on a kids show, a child goes missing within the first 15 minutes of the show starting. Show had an emergency stop so the parents could plead for the child to make himself known. Nobody was allowed to leave their seats or leave the building. Whole building had to be searched. Everyone assumed the worst, but after half an hour they resumed the show even though the kid still had not been found. 10 minutes later we got word that the kid had wandered out of the building and was found safe and sound around the corner. To make matters worse, the show was Rapunzel, you know, where the story centers around a kidnapped child. I was at some weird zoo/animal preserve north of Phoenix in 2012, and there was a tigress in chain-linked compound. This little girl went up to her and blew her a kiss. The tigress looked at her and licked her own, not the little girl's, whiskers, and the crowd went awe. Then the tigress shifted a little bit and pissed all over the little girl. The crowd was shocked and horrified, but I laughed my ass off. Went to see the Pokémon movie with my fellow group home residents as a treat. There were maybe 70 of us there. Most had never been to a movie theater before, so it was a pretty big deal. The house even splurged to get everyone a small soda, candy, and a portion of popcorn. This was literally the best day of most of our lives so far. We get settled in, taking up most of the theater, when the credits started and the lights dimmed. We were so excited. Pokémon the movie was about to freaking start. Opening ads start. We are silent the whole time in anticipation. Then the credits never ended, we thought, because this one ad seemed to go on forever. Some kind of a spoof of an alien movie? Maybe a play on Star Trek? Credits rolled. Lights turned on. Nobody spoke. Every single face was deflated and so freaking disappointed. Someone screwed up and played Galaxy Quest instead of the brand new at the time Pokémon movie. Nobody talked the whole way back to the house, but as soon as we got there so many kids lost it. I didn't end up seeing it until like 10 years later, and it blew my mind. Was working as a backstage manager in a medium-sized concert venue. We had quite a famous band with a crazy singer that used weird props. On their rider, a list bands give to venues with their wishes, they demanded we arrange 2 buckets of pig blood. Of course we did not do this. Show was going well, people were having a good time. Until the singer took out a steak knife he stole from our restaurant and started slicing his arms open. He was really making deep cuts and it was horrifying to watch. Blood was everywhere. Most people in the audience were shocked, some were dry heaving. When the show was over the singer was dripping blood all over the backstage area, smearing it on the walls. I was fairly young and scheduled to work alone that night, so I was way in over my head. I tried to reason with him, but at that point he was very intoxicated and there was no point talking to him. Our backstage area looked like someone was murdered there. When I tried talking to their stage manager he shut me up very quickly. He was probably sick of dealing with venue staff complaining about the singer. He did this shit all the time. The band was notorious regarding these kinds of crazy acts. I had to put up with a lot of shit working as a backstage manager. Bands wrecking the backstage rooms, making a mess everywhere, being sexist, being too fucked up to stand on their feet, you name it. But covering the whole stage and backstage with their blood. That was a first. We had to repaint the whole area because there is no point trying to clean the blood smears. Fairly shortly after I changed careers because I could not deal with that anymore. There's a brilliant clip of Van Halen playing, or attempting to play Jump. It starts off with an extended synth intro that lasts nearly a minute before the familiar intro comes in. The build up is intense and the crowd are loving it. Then the guitars come in, and oh no. Oh god no. Turns out the synth that's been soloing all that time was out of tune. Nobody realized until the other instruments came in. The comic timing coupled with the cheesy drama of the song make it a perfect comedy moment worthy of anything from This Is Spinal Tap. There was a episode of The Man Show where they went to Mardi Gras and had a girl to show her boobs. However, they also gave her very hairy boobs to fake out the crowd. The cheering on for her to show her boobs, then the gasp as they saw how hairy she was. It took less than a second. Tired to get a clip to show, but I can't find any that were free. Last year's Bethesda conference was pretty bad. I was at a sporting event where someone proposed to their girlfriend in the crowd and they put it on the jumbotron. They panned the camera to the woman, with the man's outstretched arm holding a ring. She's beaming as she realizes what's happening, and the crowd roars in a joyful applause. They then pan the camera down to the husband-to-be, who turns to face the camera. I'm sorry, there is no other way to say this. He was very ugly. Over the span of about 5 seconds, the joyful hooting and hollering turns into one gigantic 15,000 person ugh sound. It was agonizing. In my recollection of the event, the ugh sound transformed back into good for you, hooting and hollering, but that might just be my memory trying to downplay the cringe factor. St. Patrick's Day 2012. During a soccer game between Tottenham Hotspur and Bolton Wanderers, a player, Fabrice Muamba, collapsed on the pitch due to cardiac arrest. The game was televised and I was watching it at my local pub. The pub became eerily silent. There was a weird sense of things not being good and everyone was concerned for a player we barely knew of. Football fans might be loud ruffians, but there's a lot of respect when things go wrong. Fortunately Fabrice survived and recovered, however he retired on doctors' advice. I, along with an entire beachfront of about 80 plus people, watched a boat back up and chop a lady up in 2 pieces. It was bad. Teacher, we're watching a movie today but you have to take notes. I was brought to corridor once and the matador got his leg impaled by the bull while he was trying to get over a fence. The crowd started screaming and booing the bull like it was a foul move. I was like, LMAO, the dude fucking stabbed it. What was it supposed to do? Recite poetry? Exhumed concert. People were going nuts during their set until one of the band members started puking on stage. Apparently he can do it on demand. Woodstock 99. Everyone was super cool and chill and all of a sudden it felt like the wind shifted. It was palpable, like you could cut the air, it was so heavy. Got a super bad vibe, so we packed up immediately and left. By the time we got to the first gas station, reports of fire and rioting started. Detroit Tigers almost perfect game. We all saw the play and the dude was out. We all start celebrating. Then we slowly realize the ump called him safe. Celebration quickly turned to the opposite. Technically not horrified, but still the fastest 180 I've seen or been a part of. The Pulse nightclub shooting. I remember being awake at 3 AM and seeing that come on the news. It was absolutely heartbreaking. When a horse goes down hard at the races. Although it splits the crowd. The compassionate ones go to horrified. The uncompassionate ones with money on another horse don't give a fuck. An American comedian in the Republic of Ireland saying how happy he was to be in the United Kingdom. Not quite horrified but cheering to booing back to cheering in a matter of 5 minutes. I was at a music festival and a mid-tier headliner came on about 15 minutes early. Halfway through his first song, they pulled the plug on he and he is ushered off stage. Then some lady comes on stage to talk about sponsors. The entire crowd starts booing, and she walks off the stage mid-sentence. The DJ comes back on a min later and says, "Fuck, I've never had that happen before," and the entire crowd erupts. I was at a Russell Peters stand-up show in a large theater. He starts some banter with the guy in the first row who had a huge tattoo on his arm saying Skylar, or similar name. He asks all about Skylar, it's the guy's daughter. He starts making jokes about daughters, some sexual innuendos etc, and then asks how old Skylar is. The guy in the audience goes, "She passed away." It was pure crickets after that. When I was a kid we went to a baseball game in this small town. It was the beginning of the season, so they had the idea to have 2 guys parachuted in the middle of the field. First guy, everything went perfect. Other guy flew over the small field. A gust of wind made him lost control and he just went away, too far for anyone to see him land. Parents were horrified. Kids were crying. We all thought he crashed and died. Maybe 15 minutes later we found out that he was okay. He landed in a parking lot nearby. The organization never did that again. A girl OD at a festival in the middle of a headliner show. The crowd around immediately stopped dancing and turned all their phones' flashlights on and cleared a path for the medics. It was scary. I saw a kid get hit by a car and flung into a tree leaving the zoo when I was in kindergarten. 1 minute, everything was fine. A few moments later, everyone was running around screaming. I was at a music festival in the UK where US rapper Watsky was performing. He started to climb the rigging to the side of the stage and next thing he is about 40 feet up above the crowd singing and dancing. Everyone is going crazy. I remember turning to my friend and saying, "He's surely not going to jump from there, is he?" Because at a lot of his gigs he will do just that, albeit from a lot smaller heights. Next thing, the crazy bastard leaps into the crowd with little to no warning, plummets to the concrete floor and hits a couple of people. Instantly the security and show staff shut everything down. Looked like he was dead and he injured a couple of people, but everyone survived. I watched the singer of a band call out somebody for sitting down during the show and tried forcing them to stand up. It was the disabled section. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe for more daily Reddit videos.